The latest headlines in the Ivy League, covered through exclusive interviews right now. From campus to campus, go around the Ancient Eight with Brian Seltzer, Thursdays on the Ivy League Digital Network. Basketball.
Starting this week in University City with Penn women's basketball, the 2014 champs set to defend their third title in program history. Dan Fritz calls the games for the Penn Sports Network on the Ivy League Digital Network. Dan, Penn women, they have some nice momentum going with 3 wins in a row. They're 7-4 overall. They clinched to share their first Big Five title in history on Monday. So where has this group grown the most since Game 1, especially taking into account some of the really important pieces they lost from last year's championship team?
The group itself grew in balance. The whole team has balanced out where everybody has stepped up, and now you have the new leadership and just the magic from last year's win for the title seems to have spilled over to this year's squad. It's really been a lot of fun to watch.
Dan, you've seen the intensity surrounding Penn Princeton build over the last 5 seasons. The Quakers ended the 4-year title run for the Tigers in March. Princeton now first ever Ivy League program that's ranked in the top 25. So all that being said, what type of tone do you expect at Jadwin Gym this Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock?
Obviously, Princeton would like to get a little bit back from that game in March. Undefeated there starting off this year. Penn's going to have their work cut out for them when they go back into Jadwin Gym, the scene of the crime, as it were, and whoever blinks first is going to be on the wrong side of the scoreboard.
Penn and Princeton having a women's and men's basketball doubleheader at Jadwin Gym on Saturday afternoon starting at 2 o'clock. Dan Fritz from the Penn Sports Network will be there. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Brian. It's a pleasure as always.
Sticking with hoops and heading up to Hanover, New Hampshire. Dartmouth men's basketball. Drew Goldbraith, Big Green Insider on the Ivy League Digital Network. Drew 5 wins in the last 7 games for the Green after a 1-4 start. They now have Harvard coming up at home this Saturday. What's the feeling around the program about how well things might be setting up?
The team's optimistic, the coaching staff's optimistic, and quite frankly, the campus is galvanized around men's basketball in a way that it hasn't been in a number of years. We're really just excited to see how this version of Paul Cormier's Big Green men's basketball team comes out on Saturday night against the Harvard Crimson. It's exciting to see a team that not only believes it can win, but really has a game plan on how they think they're going to attack the Crimson on Saturday night. Junior
Alex Matola, a big part of the Big Green success so far. He and Dartmouth try to end a 10-game losing streak to the Harvard Crimson. 7 o'clock Saturday on the Ivy League Digital Network. Drew Goldbraith of Big Green Insider will have the call. Drew, thanks for a few minutes.
Thanks, Brian. Have a great week.
Ice hockey.
Wrapping up this week in New Haven, Connecticut at Yale. Covering the men's ice hockey team, Adlon Adams for Yale All Access. Adlon, Yale in the top 15 nationwide, a win versus number 9 UVM last Saturday. That makes it 6 wins in 8 games for the Bulldogs. What's been the spark for the team during this stretch of the season?
It's really picked up, against UVM. I think they played really well, being a big team in the Hockey East, ranked high nationally. I think it was really important for Yale to kind of get that under their belt. They do have a lot of energy from those freshmen coming in, especially Ryan Hitchcock. This is, I think, some of the best play they've had during the middle of the season. It really is encouraging to see this, especially before playoffs.
So in the fall, Adlon, Yale and Harvard have the game in football. In the winter, schools have arguably the most storied series in all of men's hockey, and for the second time, it'll be showcased with the rivalry on ice. What's the anticipation like around the program as Coach Keith Elaine gets ready to lead the Bulldogs back to Madison Square Garden in New York City?
I think, as Coach Elaine would say, every game is super important, especially the ECAC, but you can't really top the rivalry that Harvard has with Yale. Especially coming off that tough loss in football against Harvard, there's been a lot of hype. It's gotten to be actually a really big student participation game. You get a lot of alums who come out, and it's just really great for Yale hockey to have some sort of big game like the football game does. Last year, Yale came away with a win 5-1, so we shall see what happens this year.
Adlon Adams of Yale All Access will be at the Garden for the 8 o'clock game on Saturday. Adlon, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for this week's edition of Around the Ancient Eight. To stay current on everything Ivy League athletics, head to ivyleaguesports.com or ivyleaguedigitalnetwork.com.
This has been Around the Ancient Eight, highlighting headlines from the Ivy League. Check out new episodes premiering Thursdays on the Ivy League Digital Network.